Hey, what's up? So today we're gonna cover another Twins pod. Um, we're gonna watch Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll? Carroll? I don't know. I kind of know who this guy is. I know he's a TikToker. From what I've seen of him, he kind of he's a conspiracy theorist. I think he low key he's not really he he low key might be anti-Semitic. I don't know. I've only seen probably one or two TikToks from him, and it was kind of he was pointing out who owned BlackRock or what subsidiaries owned what, but it's kind of like taking a horse to water and having them drink, but for anti-Semitism. That's kind of what I got from him. I know he debated Destiny kind of when Destiny had that Twitter space debate with Andrew Tate, and I think it was back when Nick Fuentes got let back on X. So he talked to him for a bit. Other than that, I really don't know much about this guy. I know he's a Trump supporter. They're gonna talk about Epstein, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about Epstein in this video. Hopefully, we'll see. But I'll be interested to know what he knows. And as for the twins, I doubt they know much about Epstein. When we were watching the Hodge Twins or the Elliot Hulse video, he brought up Epstein real quick. Like I said, I doubt they know much about Epstein, or even if they could, I doubt they would even be able to name a victim. So, yeah. So it's kind of an Epstein-centered video today. So, yeah, we'll go from there. Oh, quick update though. Today's the 3rd of March, Monday the 3rd. I know they released the quote unquote Epstein files sometime last week. I didn't even know about it until 2 days after the fact. That was the day of the Zelensky. Press conference they had in the White House. So that's what took up the news media of the day. So yeah, I didn't learn about it till after the fact. I guess Pam Bondi's gonna that was phase 1 of the binders that she gave to all the mega people. I don't know. It's really just stuff we already know. Stuff from the Virginia Giuffre lawsuit and everything, probably some of the police reports from the initial arrest. Yeah, it's not that much. It's stuff we already know. It's 200 pages of files contain no major new allegations. Yeah. I'll talk more about what I think about Epstein and that whole thing, but let's just jump into the video and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, we got Ian Carroll in the house.
What's up, boys? How you doing?
We did some research on you. The only thing came up was this actor, Italian actor.
For real?
Yeah. But you have a million...
Australian television. Interesting. Oh, that's not even the right guy.
Yeah. I lay low. I stay under the radar, over the radar.
Yeah.
I'll overtake the Italian actor sooner or later.
Yeah,
I'll get him.
I saw your interaction with Elon, and everything that you shared in that post was all factual, no opinions.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. There's interpretations, right? Which I'm open to, and I tried my best to kind of present it that way in the sense that I made the post, and then I made that thread with all the evidence for each of the claims one by one by one, and it's this is what I'm basing my opinion off of, and if you read this document, I would love for you to tell me how you would interpret it any other way.
You know, it'd be awesome, Joe, if we played that clip from Twitter. Yeah, that clip is amazing.
The video that I made summarizing each one.
Yeah, that was.
Thanks, man.
And then the way you ended it, you put the cherry on the top. You're like on Israel's #1 hit list.
I actually don't know if he's pro-Palestinian. I know he's kind of anti-Israel, or that's what I'm getting from their convo right now, and from prior stuff I've known about him. But we'll see.
For that week, I definitely was.
This is epic.
This might have been a bad idea, but Elon posted some super Israel Zionist propaganda, and I responded, "For being so smart, you're exceptionally bad at understanding this one issue." It's kind of weird. And I got a lot of likes on that post, and he responded what am I missing? And so naturally, I wrote a freaking essay about it, and it took 40 minutes to get 11K to 2K ratio on that. So here's some of my concerns. And right at the start, let's just be clear. I'm not saying that all Jews are in on some Jewish evil conspiracy to run the world.
Said this disclaimer a million times.
That would be a straw man argument, and that's not what I'm claiming. We're talking about Israel there. And these are just some of the most obvious ones. First off, that AIPAC has purchased the seats of like 90% of our Congress, give or take. I made a whole thread.
What do you mean by purchase, though? I haven't read his Twitter log. Purchased the seats of 90% of our car. JFK famously wanted them registered as foreign agent right before he was shot, and thus they changed their name and never registered. His head's blocking the rest of that. That Israel was obviously blah blah blah. Lex Wessner. Okay.
First off, that AIPAC has purchased the seats of like 90% of our Congress, give or take. I made a whole thread with all my sources, and in this case, I used a video that I made myself where I cited a whole bunch of sources about AIPAC and about JFK trying to get them to register as a foreign agent the months before he got shot, and then they never registered. Secondly, that Israel's obviously the state sponsor of Jeffrey Epstein. He was an Israeli operation through and through, from his handler being Ehud Barak, the ex-prime minister of Israel, as well as the ex-head of Israeli military intelligence. His funding was from Les Wexner, one of the world's...
Okay, how do you know it was Ehud? Well, okay, I know Ehud Barak hung out with Epstein, but what?
world's richest Zionist philanthropist, and he was accused openly by ex-Mossad assets of
World's richest? Is that true?
being Mossad. And that's not to mention his connection to Robert Maxwell, one of the most infamous Mossad spies.
Ex-Mossad assets of being Mossad. But who, though?
Effort. In that case, I used another one of my videos where I cited a whole bunch of evidence, and I'm just using them because they're fun ways to consume
And he's sourcing his own videos. What?
a lot of primary sources and evidence very quickly. But in most of these cases, I made tons of different videos, and there's tons of evidence out there about all these claims. These are not complex claims. I mean, in this case, the most obvious and direct source is just To Read One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb. I'm on
Okay. I've started that book. I haven't finished it, but
my third read through right now. Next, that Israel is the only nation who has a de facto sanctioned, but it's actually secret and unsanctioned nuclear program. And that's a program that they stole from the United States. Look into the Apollo affair, NUMEC, the Dimona nuclear facility. One great source, if you like video, is this NUMEC documentary produced by Ryan Dawson. It's available for free on Rumble. It's an amazing
Numac.
resource that is super, super diligent. Tons of primary sources in here. Shout out to Ryan Dawson. And then that Jews, Muslims, and Christians live side
I don't really care for Ryan Dawson.
by side in peace in Palestine before the Rothschilds purchased the country from Great Britain during World War I. See the Balfour Declaration.
That Jews, Muslims, Christians lived side by side. They purchased land. They didn't buy the whole country of Israel. And it wasn't even a country. It was part of the like an Ottoman Empire. What?
In peace in Palestine before the Rothschilds purchased the country from Great Britain during World War I. See the Balfour Declaration. Literally begins with the words, "Dear Lord Rothschild." Like, how many families in this world have ever received a letter from the largest empire in the world, the British Empire, saying,
Because wasn't he like a baron or something? Like, this is a time when monarchies are still a thing. This is, 1917. Like, the czars are like either falling or just fallen or about to fall.
you start to dig into the history of the previous presidents of Israel, and there's some super dark, violent people that ran this country. And like that Israel,
It's true of every country. What are you talking about?
this one up here got cut off, but there was an entire Israeli surveillance program leading into 9/11 titled the DEA report. Is this whole government report about these Israeli art students that were entering government buildings all across the continental United States. I linked to the entire DEA report as well as specific snippets of them. Massive report. I've read it through the whole thing, and it's like hundreds of instances of Israeli spies posing as art students trying to access government buildings all across the United States, clearly conducting surveillance operations on U.S. soil in the years
That one's
2000
super interesting.
2008. So
Not a lot of
our
people know
greatest
about that
ally,
one.
but they're spying on us right before
I mean, like, doesn't every country spy on us, though? Like, don't we spy on, like, every other country? Like, is he saying right before 9/11? What?
9/11 in a big way. And then, like, call it an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory all you want, but, like, there are FBI documents clearly showing that there were fake Israeli moving companies all across the eastern seaboard leading into 9/11, and that members of these moving companies were out photographing themselves with the view of the attack on the Trade Center the day before the attack.
You guys want to know the debunk that I got for that?
The dancing Israeli stories. I've not looked into that. I've heard of it. I don't know, man. Like, it sounds like this guy, he's pulling from so many sources. Like Whitney Webb, I heard from stuff from her. She seems legit. I haven't finished her book, but when the way she's talked about her book, she says she drew from a lot of like relevant and scholarly sources. So I could be bullshitting on that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to bite the bullet on that if I am wrong. But he's drawing for so many things, and he's like using it. I don't know what his agenda is, but he's using it to maybe like twist and push his agenda. Now, like I said, I don't think he's pro-Ukrainian. Is he pro-Russian? I don't know. He's obviously anti-Israel. Is he MAGA? Probably. It seems like he's America first, but I don't know, man.
That one?
With the whole Epstein Ehud Barak thing, he probably got that from Whitney Webb, but he's not sourcing it. He said he put the source that he had for that was his own video. And yeah, he said he had like primary sources in that video, but till I go see it, I don't know.
And I'm not even saying that like Israel necessarily did 9/11 at all. Like I don't know. All I know is that we have serious questions, and the silence is deafening. But it's right there in the reports. And I don't know if you benefited.
Oh, but who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck? You think Trump's gonna like reveal his truth on this? I when it comes to 9/11, I could tend to go with the official story, but I'm not gonna fucking read all the reporting. At least not now. That's not my job. Yeah. But dude, if you're questioning all this stuff, what makes you think Trump's gonna fucking give you the answers for this? He's close. He had a relationship with Epstein, and like what? And Epstein's probably like his big bugaboo. I know we're talking about 9/11 here, but what? If he's against the so-called deep state, Trump's in the fucking deep state now. Like what?
From us taking down Afghanistan and from us taking down Iraq, but I didn't. Any honest look at the lives of the Palestinians, it is very clear who is the oppressor and who is the oppressed. And if it's not clear to you, then you should really go to Rumble and watch this documentary called The Occupation of the American Mind. And it's all about how Israel realized partway through the 80s that if they did not develop a state-of-the-art propaganda campaign, they were going to lose the ideological war on the global stage, because Americans were super not down with the video footage that was coming back from the bombing of refugee camps in places like Sabra and Shatila, among many others. And if American support for Israel was ever pulled, Israel is completely fucked. And they knew that. And so they moved in the 80s from just a warfare campaign against the Palestinians.
I don't even know if that's the truth anymore. I mean, if that's unless there's like a really radical shift in Egyptian like politics, like if the government switches and they become anti-Israel, then yeah, they'd probably be fucked. But or even Jordan too, if they became anti-Israel. But as of right now, like I think they'd be okay. Like Saudi Arabia's, even though they're saying they're not gonna cozy up to or what's the word? They're not gonna recognize them. They're still doing business with them. And they even helped them last year during the drone attack that Iran did. Say what you will about that, but I think Israel's gonna be fucking. I have my problems with I have my problems with Israel. I have my problems with Hamas. I have my problems with all of this. Fuck, bro. I kind of see what he's going. He's basically Hasan, but anti-Semitic. Kind of. That's what I'm getting from him. Not sure yet. I'll probably do more research into this guy after this video. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting from him. He's a populist, but he's using all the right language. Like he's anti-America. He's bringing up all the right talking points about like Iraq, Afghanistan, but he's a Trump supporter. Bro, the shit that Trump's doing now in his second term, how could you look at that and be cool if you're supposedly against the American empire? You could say that Trump's dismantling the American empire now, but is he dismantling it, or is he shifting it and morphing it into something else? Something he could use, let's say, against like Mexico or Panama. I don't know.
Do you think at this point, do you feel that we're obligated to protect them at this point? Because we know if we take all their funding away, it's
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And I would love to just be snarky and talk shit, but it's an important question that I think deserves a real
Should
answer.
we protect them?
Like,
after all the shit they've done to everybody.
right? Like, so in an ideal world, I would love for Zionism to have never happened and for Israel to have never been founded. And that's a really hot take, and Jews are going to come after me for that. But there's a second piece of that take in the sense that, like, it did happen, and we're here now today, and the world is.
Well, why did it happen though? That's the question. Europe was anti-Semitic as fuck. Like the original founders, what's his name? Hegel? The fucking founder. Oh my god. Currently reading this book. It's all right. Still like super. I tend to start this habit with books where I start them but never really finish them. But I got a decent amount into that book. The founder of Israel, or the father of Israel, I guess you could say. I'm blanking on his fucking name, but he talked about like the pogroms that were happening in like Imperial Russia and like everywhere else. Like there's a reason it happened, and it wasn't like out of a vacuum. The Jews didn't like up in one day like, oh, you know what, let's just go back. Like it was after centuries of oppression. And even like 50 years into the like what the colonial project of Israel was beforehand, they suffered at the hands of the Nazis. So as a people, yeah, it's a whole thing, bro.
Is what it is. And like and this is where I think I clash with a lot of the other like anti-Semitic accounts online. I'm of the mindset that if you have any solution to Israel, it will either come to the Jews that are there need a place to go, or they can stay. And if they're going to go, then you're either talking about a new like Israel, a new colonization, or something, or you're talking about killing them all. And to me, that's obviously abhorrent, and I condemn it. And there's no place for any talk where the solution involves killing people. Period.
Yeah.
So then it's like, are you going to move them all? Like, obviously, you can't really do that because then you're just doing the same exact problem again somewhere else. So there needs to be. That's the issue with this fucking two-state solution thing, is that there's no good solution, and that's why. And I'm just a dude. Like, I'm just some 32-year-old knucklehead. But like the way I see it is the only solutions are long-term maturation of our religions. Because the way I see it is the issue is not Judaism or Islam. The issue is supremacy within Judaism and supremacy, which kind of more comes across as jihadism in Islam, right? But there's a shitload of Muslims, like for example, Sneeko is a dope dude.
This isn't really like a religious problem though. It's more of a national problem. Like I said, I've studied a little bit of Israel. I haven't studied a whole lot, but for the Palestinian problem, Palestinian, that sounds relevant. For the Palestinian like statehood project, the reason they're not on the same page, the reason why Gaza's ruled by Hamas and the West Bank is the PA, even though the PA is pretty like non-existent, barely do anything, was because the West Bank was annexed by Jordan and Gaza was held by the Egyptians. Like, and Jordan and Egypt had their own like designs on what they wanted to do with the region and the lands that they owned. So it's not just like a religious conflict. This is a geopolitical conflict. Like it's a conflict of like independence, national desire, national identity. Like it's not just like, oh, Jews came and now like as Muslims we got to kick them out. Because if that was the case, they would have kicked them out by now. Like the surrounding regions, like majority of the countries around them are all Muslims, so they would have fucking kicked them out by now. They've had like 100 years to do so by now. That's not the problem here.
In our industry, right? I don't know if you've met him. He's Muslim, great guy. Like tons of Muslims, awesome people. Jews, tons of Jews, awesome people. And a lot of Jews, like, they've got their traits, they've got their shit they're into, but most of them aren't like evil maniacs that want to kill everyone. Right. And a lot of them have never even read, a page of the Talmud. A lot of them don't have these supremacist ideas. Right. And if Israel was filled with Jews like that, there wouldn't be a conflict. But Israel is not filled with Jews like that. And Israel doesn't educate there's kids to think that way. And so there's all this shit we need to unpack. But the way I see it is, there's no good solutions. But
okay. I kind of see what he's saying. Like, I guess reconciliate reconciliation between the religions definitely would help. But yeah, Israeli society, some of the stuff they teach the youth, especially like if you look at the settlers in the West Bank, they're learning some crazy shit. Like the ideas that they're being told and that they're reinforcing that this is our land where God's chosen people, and because of that, we're gonna make fucking the suburbs out of like another people's homes, even though we annexed that. Like it's fucking insane. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm also just a regular guy, not much historical training in this area. I'm not like a diplomat or anything either. This is a really tough situation to settle. So, and I doubt this guy doesn't even know. So,
continuing to fund genocide is not a solution at all.
I'm glad you said it, because nobody can say that but us. You know, that is obviously a genocide. It's a textbook definition of a genocide.
Yeah. Do you guys know about the Scofield Bible? Oh boy, here's a rabbit hole for you. Here's a rabbit hole for all of us that I have not gone all the way down yet. I've only started. Okay. But in the early 1900s, 1913-ish, right around when the Federal Reserve was founded and the Balfour Declaration happened, right at that exact same time, the Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor in the Deep South, to, like, it's a very complicated story, but the end result was he made a new version of the Bible called the Scofield Bible, where this he's not Jewish, he's an American Christian, but they kind of like sort of leveraged his. It's complicated. He wrote this new Bible that has all these new interpretations of the text. So they didn't change.
Jewish influence.
Yes, literally. And that's where like
the whole Bible's Jewish influence. What are you talking about? What?
That's where the God's chosen people and the greatest out. Well, not exactly, but that's where a lot of this sort of like Israel. That's where Judeo-Christianity kind of came from, and the idea that Israel is this modern Israel thing is the Israel of the Bible. It came from that Bible, and the Scofield Bible was funded by the Rothschild family, and then it was pushed because they owned the publisher that publishes like all the books. I think it was Oxford Press, and so they had the deals that they could make to get that Bible into all the megachurches, all the like across whole denominations of Christianity, and so that. At the turn of the century, 1913-ish, was when Christianity got kind of Jewified.
What? Okay. What? That's so many problems with that, but I will look into that.
Wow, so they messing with our religion.
For real. Yeah.
You could do that to Islam.
You fucking the Bible's. The Old Testament's the fucking Talmud, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Because blackmail controls everything. And so it's not just our president, right?
Let him talk. Hold on.
The director of the CIA that is about to be replaced, he went to Epstein. Like, he's a buddy of Epstein. He was having meetings with Epstein before he became CIA director. He had Epstein. He was a diplomat in...
Why are you not talking about Trump, bro? Like, Trump was a buddy of Epstein. I genuinely think until something comes out, this is my understanding of Epstein, but the case, obviously there was a bunch of victims. The best case you have for like trafficking is Virginia Giuffre. She was, if you believe her testimonies, which I do, she was trafficked to Prince Andrew and possibly Dershowitz, allegedly, and allegedly Lex Wessner. Yeah, she was a sex slave, and from her account, she said she did see Bill Clinton on the island. He didn't do anything on the island as far as she's concerned, and I think one of the housekeepers also saw Clinton, but didn't see him like fucking anyone, as far as we could tell. I think because Bill was a philanderer, he probably was maybe hooking up with some of Epstein's girls, but maybe not the underage ones. I don't know. Until someone comes out. I don't think anyone's come out just yet about Clinton, but that being said, he was friends with Epstein, and he willingly like went along with him and participated with him and did business with him. So whether he fucked someone or not, he was still friends with this guy, and he took his money. Like, it's still a problem.
Obama's administration, and before he had his long diplomatic career, he was an ambassador to Russia and a bunch of other Epstein, like he's a buddy of Epstein. He was having meetings with Epstein before he became CIA director. He had Epstein. He was a diplomat in Obama's administration, and before he had his long diplomatic career, he was an ambassador to Russia and a bunch of other countries. And then he finished his job as the ambassador to Russia around 2008 to 2012 or 13. I forget the exact years. And then when he finishes this long career in diplomacy, he needs a new job in the private sector, and he goes to Jeffrey Epstein to meet with him to get a job recommendation. And Jeffrey Epstein took him to the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which is one of these big think tanks where they do their globalist, like, control the world bullshit, where they write reports and they, whatever they do. And so William Burns got a job there on Jeffrey Epstein's
Wilbur. I was like, who's he talking about?
What does the Jeffrey Epstein connection say about that institution? But then after that, he became the CIA director, chosen by Biden. So it's like, okay, so now the CIA is being run by a dude who is at least, well acquainted with Epstein, if not compromised. But then there's
you were talking about Bill Burr, but you're not talking about the fucking president right now.
Like so many, it's not just that. Then it's like all the people in Hollywood, all the other billionaires that he ran with. So like, and Jeffrey Epstein was just one of many.
And also, I'm of the mind, unless victims come out, which I totally understand why they wouldn't. If you know the case, people like Dershowitz fucking put the victims through hell. And keep in mind, these were kids. These are 14 to 17-year-old girls. And they're dealing with the most powerful lawyers in the fucking US, coming down on them, hiring PAs to stalk them, harass them, shine lights through their fucking windows. Why would you want to come out against someone like that? Like, you have to be so unbelievably brave. And some of the girls also, they didn't see themselves as victims, whether because they didn't want to admit that or they fucking loved Epstein. So this situation is so messy, and so many people use it to fucking push their own political agendas or go against their own enemies. Like, end of this day, this story should be victim focused. Anyone else not doing that or not coming in from that angle, they could go fuck themselves.
But this is why I think Whitney Webb is one of the most important people of our time. She wrote One Nation Under Blackmail, like the definitive source on Epstein. And
okay, when it comes to like the more tangential stuff, sure, yeah, I haven't finished the book, so I'm not willing to make that claim. But if you're not talking about what's her name, Julia K. Brown, she was the one who not broke the Epstein story, but resurfaced it. So I admire that he's using Whitney Webb, and I've heard her talk, and I do think she's kind of trustworthy. Why are we not bringing up Julia K. Brown?
A realization that I think we're all slowly coming to. It's like this, like, red pill, this like cue, this
like the One Nation Under Blackmail. If I had to guess, Julia K. Brown, her book, Perversion of Justice, that's like your dinner, and then One Nation Under Blackmail, that's your dessert. But you can't skip the dinner before going to dessert, or else you're not gonna like understand.
There's all these sort of like waking up movements happening with various degrees of tinfoil attached, that are us all realizing that the world is controlled by blackmailers. And then the question just is, who are the blackmailers and how many of them are there and where are they and what are they doing? And the answer is pretty obviously that Israel is deeply involved in the blackmail scene, if not on top of the scene, which I think they are on top of the scene. And they have been ever since they were first founded. Like that, I mean, it wasn't Israel, but it was the Jewish mob that was blackmailing J. Edgar Hoover for the first 45 years or whatever of the FBI's existence, which is very timely with cash in Congress today. But like,
I haven't heard that claim, but keep that in mind.
Literally, the mobsters that founded Israel, they were the guys that had just grown the mob empire across the United States for the last 20 years by blackmailing J. Edgar Hoover with sexual blackmail, as well as, I'm sure, a ton of other politicians and people. So it's like, well, that worked really fucking well.
Yeah, that's the blueprint.
Yeah, and they modernized it. They made it better. But
yeah, have you heard about the new Israeli? He's running some. Can you pull it up, Joe? Child trafficking. Yeah, he's Israeli. I forget his name.
Oh, did he get
So we're not talking about Trump at all. This guy's a fucking hack.
arrested in Miami or something like that?
I think a couple days ago.
He was friends with him for 17 years, bro.
they just keep on coming out. They're just like sex trafficking ring after sex trafficking ring. And earlier this year, we had the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. I'll let him say it.
Right.
And so that's where it's like, I grew up, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up.
Dude,
We had the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch.
Right.
that's another thing. He brings up stuff and then moves on real quick. The CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch is actually a pretty interesting story. Oh, actually, there was an update. So Mike Jeffries, the CEO or the ex-CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, he got accused, if you didn't know. And there's a BBC documentary on it. I haven't seen it. I do want to watch it. Haven't got around to it yet. But there's claims that he ran or used like the Abercrombie brand as like a sex trafficking operation. Which, if you watch the documentary White Hot, they kind of allude to that, but they more say like, oh, he was kind of like, he sexually harassed like the male models at the time. But Abercrombie and Fitch, part of L Brands, which was owned by Lex Wexner. Lex Wexner was the mentor, I guess you could say mentor of like Jeffrey Epstein. He gave him power of attorney. He worked with him for up until he got arrested, and they started working together since '87 up until like 2008 or something like that, 2007. So, if anyone knew about Epstein and his stuff, it would have been Les Wexner, I believe personally. Also, Virginia Giuffre did claim in a deposition say that she allegedly did stuff with him. I don't think there's any lawsuits on Les Wexner right now. It's really hard it is kind of tough to find stuff on him. But if you're talking about Epstein and you want to know like who the client list, stuff like that, two people you really want to look at are Les Wexner and Leon Black. That being said, with the Mike Jeffries CEO, because he was accused of all this, he was connected to Les Wexner. I think they were friends too. I'd have to watch the documentary again and look at some of the reporting, but like, come on, dude. Like, how do you have two sex traffickers working under you and not know about this? That's so crazy. Let me look at this article real quick. In a new lawsuit filed against ex-Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries, his partner and cronies, two aspiring male models, claimed they were promised lucrative gigs with the company, then drugged, raped, and sex trafficked by the company leaders. It's like a brand new lawsuit, or two accusers said they were forced to shave all their hairs from their body, endure penis injections in order to force a long-lasting erection during multiple sickening sex parties, according to Manhattan Supreme Court judge or lawsuit. The abuse allegedly started when Jeffries' associate named James Jacobson recruited the men whose names are being withheld by the Post for modeling work in 2010, 2011, and 2011, and made it clear they had to have a successful meeting with him first, according to the court papers. Jacobson then sexually assaulted the men, one of whom was a team at the time, according to the court papers and the victim's attorney. The abuse by Jeffries and his cronies allegedly took place in Manhattan, the Hamptons, and on international trips, according to their lawyer, Robert Georges.
And so that's where it's like, I grew up, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up in the 2000s, going to the mall, like Hollister, Abercrombie, like Victoria's Secret, can't breathe from all that perfume.
Right.
And we now know that Victoria's Secret was Leslie Wexner. That's Jeffrey Epstein. They're
Yeah, that's true.
recruiting their sex trafficking victim, their girls from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Then you go across the hall.
I'm sure there were girls there. But as far as I know, there's only one girl that came out. Or at least there could be girls in the lawsuits previously, or in the victim. There's the victims compensation fund that happened for Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I'm sure there probably are people who wanted to stay anonymous and just took the claim because they didn't want to pursue anything. So the fact that they did that, it's really hard to like say who's who or what or who's alleged of anything. So, but as far as we know, the one Victoria's Secret model was I forgot her name, but she claimed that Epstein like sexually assaulted her in like LA or Santa Monica, I think.
And it's like, oh, Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister, they're the same company.
Right.
They're being run by a gay pedophile who's recruiting from their male model catalog for a gay sex trafficking ring. And so now you look back on my childhood, and I'm like going on a date in the mall as 12 years old at Victoria's Secret, Hollister, and Abercrombie, and all of that, everything about that is child sex trafficking and blackmail.
Those magazines
on a
are
global
catalogs
scale.
for pedophiles.
Is Trump a controlled opposition question?
I hope not.
That's like one of these lines where people beyond that line, you're pretty deep in the like black pilled, we're totally fucked realm. And below that line, it's like, and I agree. I fucking hope not.
You remember the tunnels in New York?
He was friends with Epstein. Like, why are you not talking about that?
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Do you have any insight on what was going on there? They had mattresses down there.
I mean, the mattresses have insights on what was going on down there. I don't. So when that happened, I was still pretty like new to understanding what's going on in Israel. And so it's shocking. It's like it takes a year or two to realize, for your worldvie to reassociate. And so when that mattress came out of that hole, it was just so, I mean, you kind of know, but it's dark to see it. And I think
as far as that story notes, I don't think anyone was trafficked there. I could be wrong. I haven't looked into that. They're talking about the New York synagogue that was under the tunnel or in the it was a funny story, but I don't think any I mean, it was a crime to go under there, but I don't think anything insanely criminal happened. Like anyone got murdered or raped. I could be wrong.
Hey, I'm Brianna from New Jersey, and I just...
Is that all they talk about with Epstein? Are you serious? That's so fucking lame. Okay. Yeah. If you're all interested in any of the Epstein stuff and you haven't looked into it, Julie K. Brown's Perversion of Justice, best place to start. It does talk about her story and what she was going through at the time of writing all this, but it does have really good, solid groundwork of the Epstein story. Also too, Brad Edwards' book. Oh, Relentless Pursuit. I'm silly. Brad Edwards' book, Relentless Pursuit. This was one of the lawyers for some of the victims. Michelle Licata? No. Courtney Wild? Courtney Wild. There we go. That was her lawyer. So a lot of these victims are the most well-known victims, like Courtney Wild, Michelle Licata. They appeared in multiple interviews, so that's why I feel comfortable naming them. Like I said, the Whitney Webb book, I started that one too. Also, I haven't finished Relentless Pursuit. I started that one. Like I said, I start books and then I don't finish them, or I just get wrapped up in what I'm doing, work or just other topics I'm looking into. So, but this is it is a good one. You should definitely read it if you're into this topic at all. In terms of things you could watch, the J. Aubrey Epstein series that he did a 3-part series. These are really good. Definitely worth watching if you don't know about the Epstein story. Personally, I think they're better than the Netflix stuff. The Netflix documentaries, you're not going to get a whole lot of information. You will see the victims and hearing their stories, so that's good to hear. But these are really good. I prefer these. Well, I shouldn't say I prefer them, but these are good to watch. They have they have a mixture of the victim stories and the webs of connections that Epstein had. Also, he's a really good editor. So yeah, definitely check that out. One last thing before we wrap up. Hasan talked about the Epstein files that came out not too long ago. 25 minutes? Holy shit. We're gonna see what Hasan says. Also, I know what's his name? Charlie Moist Critical did a video on the Epstein files. I doubt Charlie knows anything about Epstein, but let's look at Hasan because I've been covering Hasan lately. So yeah.
The Department of Justice is expected to release some of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
I don't know. I feel like Hasan should have a better understanding of Epstein, but like I said, he's a propagandist. He wants to follow the U.S. He's a communist. I don't know what his take's going to be. He's friends with the TrueAnon people. So he, like I said, I expect him to know stuff about this case, but I don't know. We'll see.
today. This comes out.
Hey guys, this is probably going to come across as shocking to virtually zero people here, but the files that they quote unquote released, they released to MAGA influencers. It was scrubbed clean of any sort of new details, and that's it. One good part of this, however, is that this is a very direct promises made, promises not kept moment, and a lot of the MAGA influencers are very upset. Given how stupid things have become, I'm going to be very careful in saying this. I think this would have more of an impact on Trump's reception from many parts of the MAGA base in a negative way than literally if the Trump administration caught Medicaid and like killed their parents. I'm not even kidding. I'm so for real about this. This isn't to say that like it's not important. The Epstein files are insignificant or anything like that. I think they are. But these people are more tuned into that shit than anything else. I could totally see this being like the breaking point or a jump off point for numerous hogs. Hogs are.
I think if you're like a casual, like conservative, what's his name? If you want to fucking load. I started watching this guy not too long ago, but he's called Art Chad. He was kind of like he's around my age, but he's like a conservative, or he used to be conservative. I don't know really. He's more left leaning now, but I don't know how far that goes. He did a stream talking about the Epstein files, and he was like, what Hasan was saying, like he was disappointed and turned on Trump essentially. I don't know. I don't think he was ever a Trump supporter, but he was like, what the fuck, Trump? So if you're like a casual, if you're like a centrist, you maybe voted for Trump thinking he was going to fucking do everything he said, then yeah, you're probably disappointed on this. If you're like an actual mega person, you'll probably be like disappointed, but like you're not going to turn on Trump.
Their obsession with this is definitely beyond like a normal, understandable level of enthusiasm and interest.
After a Republican push for transparency, Griff Jenkins joins us live from Washington with the details. So who's on the list, Griff?
Also, as far as I understand, what was released, like I said, was the Virginia and Jeffrey documents, like everything that came from that. It was just like recycled stuff we already knew and some stuff that was highly fucking blocked out.
Bro, it's so funny people forget. Donald Trump, ironically enough, I shit on him all the time. If you know anything about their connection to one another, Donald Trump ironically cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein far before the Clintons did. As a matter of fact, the Clintons never really cut ties.
Okay, so he knows a little bit.
Trump ironically cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein far before the Clintons did. As a matter of fact, the Clintons never really cut ties with the Epsteins. Like Donald Trump literally used to be homies with him. Okay, that's why those videos exist from the 90s. And ironically enough, when he was homies with him, Jeffrey Epstein would use Mar-a-Lago as a hunting ground to get underage girls that he could sex traffic. And
that's where he got Virginia Giuffre.
Soon as Donald Trump found out that he had this court case, he was like, it's done. There is no other evidence of these two people ever connecting with one another. I still, however, believe that Donald Trump's administration killed him because he was a asset. Too many rich and too many.
Okay, when it comes to the suicide part, whether he was murdered or suicide, that really doesn't interest me a whole lot. Nowadays I do tend to lean on he did probably kill himself. But depending how I feel, if I want to say like he was told to kill himself, I still think I've talked about this before, but the sheriff's office that ran his like work release, they had a lot to gain from his whole prison stint. I think Perversion of Justice talks about this. They made a fuck ton of overtime just on like guarding him when he was like in his office outside of the jail. So if I'm a corrupt cop, and maybe I find out that on my watch, Epstein, like, raped a girl, like an underage girl, when I was supposed to be guarding him when he was on work release. Yeah, I'd probably want to be, I'd probably want to fucking murder him too. So, I don't know. Like, cops are corrupt, bro. Like, let's be real here. So, but I would need to prove that. And I can't prove that. So, that's why I tend to lean on he probably did kill himself.
Powerful people, liberal and Democrat alike.
I'm also aware that the jail he was in was pretty fucked. So it's not hard to believe that he actually did hang himself.
Like, would get in trouble if the Jeffrey Epstein tapes were ever revealed.
Also, I know the 2023 report that happened talking about like everything that went wrong I have it. I haven't read it yet. One day I'll read it. But yeah, like I said, I think he did kill himself.
I do want to mention to every single person that, one, I believe that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad and CIA operative.
Okay, well, I'll let him talk.
Who engaged in blackmailing high-profile individuals on his Lolita Express, including but not limited to sex trafficking minors, and that the American government will never truly reveal the heinous crimes that it committed. Just so you understand. I didn't think you'd say it out loud. Wait, what? Why? Why wouldn't I say it out loud?
If I'm understanding this correctly, I think it was... I don't know where the Mossad claim comes from. I know the CIA asset comes from Vicky Ward, and I think the initial like Vanity Fair article that she did, but I could be wrong. I have to look at that again. But where's the Mossad claim coming? Like if I had to guess, it's coming from because Ghislaine Maxwell's father. There's claims against him that he was Mossad, which like he probably was, maybe. But people, I don't know. They're just saying like, well, her father was Mossad, so he has to be Mossad, but they're not making that connection. The only connection they have is Ghislaine, but there's no like outside person that they're not saying Ghislaine's Mossad. I don't know. You gotta prove that. You can't just like claim it. You gotta like show me something.
Ehud Barak visited Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion in 2016. What the f is Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister, doing at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in Manhattan? What the f what are we even talking about?
Like, so many people were hanging out with him though. Like, a lot of people were friends with him. Yeah, like I don't know.
Jeffrey Epstein boasted about being a Mossad agent like Ghislaine Maxwell's father Robert, according to the bombshell claims from ex-girlfriend.
June 2024. I'll read that article later. I'm aware of like what they've claimed, but they could. I think what's her name? Julie K. Brown in a interview. I could be bullshitting this, but it's in the TrueAnon interview that they did with her that she doesn't think he was in intelligence. Like, she thinks because he was so wealthy and because he had this allure about him, he just kind of BS shit because he wanted to seem more important than he actually was. And in a way, like, the fact that he's dead and we're still talking about him like this, that he was possibly like a Mossad agent or like some CIA asset or something, he wanted that. Like, and it fucking sucks that we're giving him that, but that's yeah, like, it's hard. Okay. We'll just leave it from there. Do I have anything else to say? No, not much. Oh, I thought it froze. He got banned today, actually. He got banned like a couple hours ago. So, he was talking about Rick Scott and how he should have, you know. So, he got banned for something finally. Ethan's probably super happy. But Epstein stuff. Can't believe he didn't talk about Trump, that one guy. That's so fucking crazy. Anyway, yeah, I don't have much to say. Read Julie K. Brown's book, and I will try to finish One Nation Under Blackmail soon. Yeah, that's about it for me. I don't know what else to say. Have a good one.